If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks.
PlastChicks is an SPE sponsored podcast.
Hey.
Oh my goodness.
My voice was incredible just then. It's only day 3 of NPE.
And we feel wonderful.
We're about to lose my voice.
We feel wonderful. Because you know what? Why wouldn't we feel wonderful?
So, hello and welcome to our living room.
This is our living room. This is how I set it up. Yeah.
We're here again at day 3 of NPE, broadcasting live. Hey!
And there's a live audience. It's very exciting. It's all fun and games.
Fun and games.
And plastic.
And plastic, so much. We actually got to walk the show a bit today and saw amazing things happening, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
We're here to introduce ourselves.
I'm Mercedes Landazuri.
And I'm Lynzie Nebel.
And with our powers combined, we are PlastChicks, the voices of resin.
We are.
Yeah. And here with us today, we have a very special guest, Jess Rodriguez, Sustainability Project Manager at Berry Plastics.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining
having
us.
me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're very glad that we haven't scared you off from this podcast and that you are still sitting here and willing to answer our questions. Yeah. So let's go with an easy one first. Mm-hmm. Let's give us like kind of your background and maybe a quick little synopsis on what a sustainability project manager does.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm a sustainability project manager at Berry. I'm in the global healthcare group. So I'm based in North America, but I work globally, both with our teams in North America as well as in Europe.
Which is fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really great group. I work closely with the North American team based out of our Lancaster, Pennsylvania office. I'm there with the product development team, so kind of working on new projects from the ground up there. And then working, of course, more satellite with our European teams, but really tuned into the developments that they're doing there as well. So yeah, it's a really great group, both sides. But I've been at Berry for 2 years now. So I started in June, or almost 2 years, June of 2022. And really my work focuses on improving the packaging of our customers. So we're looking at reducing the environmental impact of our packaging through circular resins, improving recyclability of packaging, and then as well optimizing processes are some of the ways that we're looking to do that.
That's a lot of things to already be doing.
That's a lot of things.
I feel like that's a lot. You're putting a lot of projects down on your list right now. That feels.
I have to say this is so cool because I have known, this is the first time that we're meeting. I know you two have known each other for a while.
We have talked, but we've never
actually
met.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great part about NPE. But Jess, I have known about you for years because your mother is a friend of mine. And so I've heard about you since you were in high school. And I was so excited when she told me, you were going to be studying at Cornell and I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to come into the industry. And it's just such a pleasure.
We love
it's
trapping
wild.
people into the industry.
Yeah. Actually, really funny. In high school, I actually worked at SPE. I worked my senior year.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I worked at SPE.
Yeah.
I was the technical library coordinator, so all of the presentations and papers and everything, I spent a summer kind of reorganizing those, making sure they were available under the right names, the right authors, all of that. So that was kind of my first introduction to SPE, but of course I have some deeper ties there as well.
Yes.
And I think it's been really great. I went to Cornell and I studied fiber science there, so more focused on textiles, but I always knew that plastics were super important. So when I was looking for new opportunities, I thought the plastics industry would be a great place for me to go. So,
and honestly, what a great test. Like if you can go through all those backlog of papers and you're still like, yeah, this is for me. That's how you know.
Yep.
That's how you know plastics is for you.
Yep. And they were so interested. I remember being so interested. I was like,
I love that.
I think I could see myself here in a few years.
There are some really cool papers, especially if you dig back. Like there are some stuff that you're like, especially what I think, which I'm already off on a tangent, but that's what we do. That's how we do.
Yeah.
I love when you find papers of things that are like now kind of established in the industry. Like, I have personal ties to John Beaumont, and I love any of those like initial papers where he's having like students do projects, and you're kind of seeing some of this like stuff that they now like just it's standard practice. I love that kind of thing.
Or when you read a paper and then like a few years later you actually get to meet the person.
Yeah, that is fun too.
That's really awesome too. And actually I had a few experiences where I was putting some of these papers into the right areas, right? And I came across some professors at Cornell, and then I actually went on to take some of their classes and work with them too. So that was a really cool experience, not knowing exactly how I was going to interact with them or even meet them going forward, and then actually being, part of their world.
Did it get you extra bonus points to know their papers that they have done in the past?
Unfortunately, no.
What?
No.
I would have clamored for some points.
Listen, if I actually had a PhD and was actually a professor.
This is Dr. Mercedes.
Yeah, people think that I have a PhD. I'm like, what? Really? Thank you. But I would be so amazed to hear that one of my students had seen one of my papers.
Yeah.
But let's get back into it. We keep going.
We're
Tangents,
already
typical us.
distracted.
So diving into your sustainability journey, how did your background in fiber and textiles and polymer research lead you to focus on sustainability in healthcare packaging?
Yeah. So like I said, I went to Cornell and I studied fiber science. So when I grew up in sports. So I was a runner, I ran in high school, I ran in college. And so when I got to college, I was really interested in kind of combining my education with like my love of athletics. So I went in and I was like, I'm going into an athletic wear company. Like that was the goal when I was a freshman. I really wanted to do that.
Easy goal if you're in the plastics
fiber,
industry.
yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah. So I wanted to do, material development for an athletic wear brand. And then as I went in and learned a little bit more about the textile supply chain, the industry, the fashion industry as a whole, I understood the environmental impact that it had on the people, on the environment that it was in and everything. And I wanted to look more into that instead of necessarily into the athletic wear. So I kind of transitioned. I was actually able to go on a few different trips when I was in college to see the textile supply chain in action.
Oh, cool.
And that was extremely eye-opening. And every time I came back from one of those trips, I was like, I need to focus on improving this or trying to make some sort of a difference here and not just adding more to the kind of what I saw as a little bit of a concern.
I think a lot of people talk about, like plastics and, the need for recycling there, but I don't think enough people, maybe at least in my mind, don't talk about like textiles and like the waste and the need for sustainability there.
Yeah,
it's starting to be.
The industry is definitely trying to change. There's some exciting projects that are going on.
Definitely. Yeah, they're definitely trying to work on it a lot more.
Okay, well, I'm just out of the loop
Yeah,
then.
keep up,
You're in
Nebel.
plastics, they're related but not so closely intertwined. But so as I was going through all of that, I kind of transitioned what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work at a company where I could have an impact. So this is looking more at the company than necessarily the technology or something like that. And right out of college, I ended up at a juvenile products company working on material development there. So they made car seats and strollers, play yards, items like that. But I was really focused on improving the textiles that they used, looking to eliminate chemicals. Chemical treatments were not necessarily needed, looking to use more organic textiles, cotton, items like that. So that's kind of how I started right out of college. And then the whole time I just knew that whatever industry I was in, I really wanted to be focused on sustainability and trying to make an impact. And I think it's, as a consumer, we really want to do what's best for the environment, but sometimes our small tasks seem so small, but we have the opportunity to go into these large companies and make these differences. And that's kind of what I wanted to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you listed, I don't know, 6,500 different things that you're working on already, which already feels overwhelming to me. So out of the projects you've been working on at Berry, what has been your favorite? Which project had the best, or the biggest impact on the industry
That you're allowed to talk about.
That you're allowed to talk about. We won't get into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah. So I'll say a lot of our projects are still in development right now. So I am in healthcare, and our timeline is pretty extended.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, and you've been at Berry for 2 years. Yeah. She's like, I can talk about nothing.
The one project I started.
The second I can, I'll talk about those.
We'll do a part 2.
Yeah, there you go.
5 years from now.
Exactly. Maybe, no, it'll be before then.
Everyone follow her on LinkedIn, Jess Rodriguez.
But I will say that the projects that I've enjoyed working on the most have really been looking to improve the recyclability of packaging. So a lot of the packages that I work on are like bottles and closures. So like for your vitamins, minerals, supplements, things like that, your Advil bottles, your Robitussin bottles, items like that are what we're working on, as well as inhalers, nasal sprays. So looking to improve the recyclability of that packaging has been one of the major projects that I've been working on, and we've identified a lot of ways that they're not recyclable and all of this. So finding solutions to make them recyclable has been one of my favorite projects.
Wonderful. So in your role, I understand that there are 3 areas of sustainability that you kind of have in the forefront. Can you tell us what they are?
Yeah, so one is the improving recyclability of packaging, so that I just spoke about. So that's really the main, or one of the main areas. The second would be circular content. So this is looking to replace virgin fossil fuel-based materials with either recycled materials, bio-based materials, things like that. And then the third is process optimization. So looking at new technologies to understand how we can reduce our manufacturing footprint too.
So can we dive deeper into that
Let's
circular content one?
Let's
go.
dive on in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, tell us like kind of what that means. I mean, you gave us the quick little hit, but what do you do? Like when someone says circular content, what is that supposed to mean to them?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do so far, healthcare is relatively new to sustainability as a whole, so we have this conversation with our customers a lot. But basically, looking at circular content is understanding the end application of the packaging and then which material you could use that fits that application while trying to use circular material, which I just used in a loop. Circular material.
We love
Going
it.
back
We
to
love
the
it.
beginning,
And
let's
blue.
redefine that. But yeah, so circular content is basically anything that does not come from fossil resources. So mechanically recycled materials. We do look at some advanced recycled materials, bio-based, chemically recycled as well. So those are the items that we look at, and it really depends on the customer and what their end application is as far as which material we would recommend going forward with.
Mm-hmm. So Jess, recyclability of packaging, especially in healthcare, right? It feels like you're taking on one of the most divisive areas in some way of the sustainability world. What is that like?
Yeah, it's been really fun, actually. And it's been one of my favorite things that I've worked on. So I came in, again, from textiles into the plastics industry and not really too much of a background on what is recyclable, right? Mm-hmm. So the first step there was kind of taking and looking at the recycling process. So what happens after your package is picked up at the curbside? What are the steps that package goes through until the end of, until it's recycled? And so we looked at that and really understood each step of the material recovery facility and that process, and kind of have started to redesign packages based on what it would face in the material recovery facility.
Right.
So that's been really interesting, and it's a lot of learning. And I think my favorite part about that is when our designers come back to us and say, well, we can't move forward with this design because it wouldn't pass this stage of the material recovery facility or whatever. And that's been a huge win, I would say. But I think just helping others understand and educate them on that has been a really fun part of my job so far. And yeah, it is a little difficult to address all of the recyclability claims and designing for recyclability, but I see it as a lot of really great opportunities, especially in healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Did you? And so you got to go like in person, hands-on at the MRF?
Yeah, so I've been to a few. Yep. Me specifically, not my whole team or anything. Yeah. And then I'll bring that information back and kind of tell them, walk them through exactly what would happen and what that looks like.
That was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me. I highly recommend it if you have a chance to get to
MRF it up.
MRF it up, MRF, material recovery facility.
Always MRF.
Yeah.
Always be MRFing.
Always be MRFing. I'm gonna get that tattooed, I guess.
Whoever wants that. Recycling is real, and always be MRFing. You mentioned, you kind of have a team that helps you kind of, factor in these things about not getting through these certain stages of sustainability. Can you kind of like lay out what that team looks like? Who goes into all these decisions? Yeah,
I can talk a little bit about that. So I have I'm technically a team of one, but
who are your friends?
Yes, so my friends. Yeah, I have one friend that is.
I'm sorry, this is what I do to people.
Your colleague listens to the podcast, like, are we friends now?
It's like,
who's your bestie?
Oh, okay. But I have one coworker who is focused mainly on innovation and looking forward, and a lot of on like new projects. And so all of those new projects coming from our customers or stock products really do focus on sustainability. So we've been pretty looped in as far as making sure that he understands what we need to do to have a sustainable package and all of that. And then we also have designers on our team who are helping to design new products. And then of course, I report up to my boss, John Vassallo, and he's kind of oversees all of this and makes sure that everyone's aligned and making sure that we're all working for more sustainable packaging going forward. So although I am a team of one, it is definitely a team effort, and I'm surrounded by a really great group. So
you mean a really great group of friends.
yes, I have a great
really
group of friends.
We are all friends.
So Barry, as I understand it, has their own recycling technology. What is it, and what does that mean for your projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about some of these projects. So yeah, we have Berry Clean Stream Circular Polymers. So it's a mechanically recycled polypropylene. It's based out of our Leamington Spa facility in the UK. And they've developed their own novel technology to process domestically recovered household waste back into actually food, well, not food, mechanically recycled polypropylene that's achieved the FDA letter of no objection. So it could be used in some food contact applications. So we're really excited about that. That's kind of like a really unique thing to have as a plastics converter.
It certainly
company.
is.
Yeah. So we're super, super excited about that. But yeah, I've been testing this in a few of our stock products, and it's been performing great, and just looking
fun.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
It's really exciting. Yeah, I was at one of our plants all week last week running it. So yeah, it's a good material, and just really excited to have that opportunity to bring circular content to the industry, but then also to help with that recovery and the recycling process.
And I love that you're saying it's based out of the main facilities based in the UK.
Yep.
Like, you know, I think when we think about it, we're talking about like, okay, let's start recycling, let's start like doing everything here. And it's like, it doesn't have to be, if there is a better way to do it in another country, we can start like including that and incorporating that, and just making more friends across the globe.
Yeah.
You're pushing so hard. Like, you need to chill.
I need more friends.
Yeah.
I don't need more friends.
I was looking at the. Okay. Let's. I want to. How do I fit this like pun in here? So, so staying updated with trends is crucial, right?
Trends with friends.
Trends. I was trying to. I was like, no, I can't make this work. How do you apply these trends, and how do you apply them in your work?
Yeah, so I would say luckily for healthcare, we are a little behind the curve, right? Mm-hmm. So we tend to see, we're kind of the latecomers. So a lot of the divisions within Berry have started some of these projects like improving recyclability or increasing circular content. And we are kind of watching what they've learned and taking that into account and then kind of proceeding from there. As far as trends, coming to shows like NPE, I go to Plastics Recycling Conference every year, and just staying up to date with our suppliers to make sure that we have the latest information as far as what resins are available, and then just working with our customers to be able to implement them and really making sure that we understand the impact that these changes would have on our customers as well as our own products, to make sure that we're getting the best that we can.
So, you know, you mentioned coming to these types of shows is one way to stay like up on trends, and I'm sure that's one way for people that are looking to like incorporate sustainable practices in their own businesses or their own products. What are some other ways that they can go about, you know, trying to be more sustainable in their endeavors?
Yeah, I think this is a really great question, and I think it's just about, at least my approach is starting small. So I would say my job right out of college, it didn't necessarily have a focus on sustainability. However, I saw opportunities to make small changes, and that kind of started to grow from, okay, just one product line, one small change here, into a larger conversation where we could bring in more people, and then eventually became a sustainability strategy. So I think it's really starting small and making small changes that are easy for people to kind of accept to begin, and then building off of those. Because once you have those first initial successes, you're going to be able to start convincing more people to join in kind of the conversation and make those larger changes. But and I know it feels very daunting. You know, we all want to accomplish everything, you know, be net zero by
What's
2030 and all of that.
Super corporate saying, don't want to boil the ocean.
But yeah, it's just really, I really think it's important to start small, and we all want to get there, and we will get there, but we have to take the small steps first.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned successes. Do you have any particular success stories or case studies that stand out for you
that you can tell us about?
That you're allowed to talk about, and maybe in school as well, right?
Yeah. So, one of them I could talk about was I worked at a juvenile products company, and one of the projects that I was really focused on was removing flame retardant treatment from child's car seat. So there's a standard that you have to work to meet there's a standard that the car seat needs to meet for flame retardancy. So
flaming car seats are bad.
Yes, exactly.
All agreed.
Yep. So there's traditional ways to do that, and then we were looking at more innovative ways, and I found a solution and was able to apply it so that the fabric, not only the fabric no longer had treatment on it, but the foams, the labels, the entire car seat was then without any added chemicals. So that's one of the successes previously that I can talk about. And
My children, thank you.
Yeah, I'll have more as far as berry packaging coming up actually within the next few months here. So
really,
yeah, I'm excited about those. So yeah.
So we're talking, kind of circling back to circular content. Circling back to packaging in sustainable packaging. There's a lot of misconceptions. What are some of the things that people come to you and they're like, we can't do blah, and you're like, actually, who can you actually? I love a good actually.
Actually.
Yeah, we have a lot of requests for coming in about alternative materials that aren't plastics, and I do understand that they're all from a very good place, right? We all are trying to work to make more sustainable packaging. My initial question would be, well, how does it compare in barrier properties? How long? What's the shelf life? Things like this that plastics are just superior, right? They're in some ways they're
they can't be beat.
They can't. So
ever.
Never. So that's kind of what I've been facing recently in some of the plastics discussions that we have with customers, is just looking into alternative materials for applications that should very clearly stay in plastics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think I'm not even being in sustainability I'm trying to do my best sustainable life. I just am not in sustainability. I don't got any title to go with it.
I don't got any titles.
I ain't got no titles. But, I think even just when someone hears oh, you're in plastics, it happened with my Uber driver on the way from the airport, where he's like, well, about all these plastics. And I'm like, dear sir. But yeah, I think there's some easy misconceptions that
you can get people to start rethinking.
Right. You kind of pull out that thread a little.
Simple examples of things that they see every day and use every day.
Yeah. I think I, grew up with someone in my household saying
yes.
Plastics make things possible. So that's something that I always kind of go back to, and I've never really seen, I'm focused on the great properties of plastics and the abilities that they have to protect products and everything, and really focus on that.
Right. Because we can all acknowledge our flaws, but we need to work towards a better self.
We do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm just talking about me, not plastic. And what my therapist tells me.
It's okay, Lynzie, you have plenty of friends, okay? You have plenty of friends. Don't worry about it. You're good.
This is going to give me a complex after.
So Jess, we're almost out of time, but just looking ahead, you're at the very start of your career. What are your longer term goals at Berry and for sustainability in general?
Yeah. So definitely longer term goals. We're looking to create fully recyclable packaging across all of our products. So that's one major thing that we're working towards. As far as and then, of course, improving or increasing the amount of recycled content that we use, using some of that very clean stream material as much as we possibly can. And then for me personally, just continuing to learn and grow in the space, and looking forward to new innovations that we have as an industry as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I feel like in, 10 years, because we'll definitely still be doing this podcast in 10 years. We're just going to do a Where Are They Now? And we're just going to bring you back on.
That's actually a really good idea.
I know. Maybe the 10 years might be a little too long, but Are we still gonna be doing this in 10 years?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But you know, I feel like you have done so much already.
Yes.
That is so impressive, which is why we wanted to have you on here and have this conversation. So yeah, when we do our Where Are They Now, you're our first one.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, Jess Rodriguez, again, thanks so much for joining us today. And well, are you? Do you get to actually spend some more time on the floor today or tomorrow?
Yeah, a little more today, a little more tomorrow. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, wonderful. We'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.